Remember being 6 years old, full of life and excited to go to school to play with your friends without ever thinking that things can go left. But for one local 6-year-old Las Vegas boy, that was not the case. This is the story of Cary Sayegh.
You know, Sol Sayegh, back in 1978, he was basically known as the Carpet King, right? He was doing all the carpets for all the casinos as they were getting built. You know, Vegas was slowly growing at that time, nothing crazy, but he was, basically handling all the homes and stuff as well. Well, Sol wanted to take his business in another direction and expand into the gaming industry. And right in the midst of doing that, one of the most unthinkable things happens, and his son becomes missing. And it's a parent's nightmare. And that's what we're about to get into.
October 25th of 78 is just another Wednesday for the Sayegh family. They get up, get prepared for the day. So they take young Cary to school, drop him off, where I'm sure he goes to, his first period, second period, third period, and then voila, the best part of the day, recess.
Everyone's.
So, he goes to recess, he does what he does, he have fun. Unfortunately, some weird random guy shows up and was talking to him. And he ends up getting in the vehicle with this man. This gentleman drives off with him, pretty much, right? And so after recess, all the students, go back into class and et cetera. And, they do their count, realize they're down a body. Where the fuck's Cary? Call authorities come, call the parents, as any parent, because you're a parent, I'm a parent, that's probably the worst nightmare to get that phone call. So they come frantic, they're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. So they asked some of the students, did they see anything? Where was Cary last seen? What was he doing? And some of the students pointed out that he had gotten to somebody's vehicle. So they try to figure out who this person is. Sadly, Cary was never seen again. He was never found. And so this person of interest, they ended up finding this person maybe 6 or 7 hours after the abduction had happened. He was nowhere to be found, couldn't contact him, anything. He was just gone, ghost. So he shows up. He acts like nothing's happened. He doesn't know what. And now, because he's had some prior dealings with the father, Sol, now he's trying to insert himself in the case and help. So he offers to go down to the strip and do some searching and talk to some people and do his own sort of investigation to find out what happened and where is little Cary. So randomly, per this person of interest, some payphone ends up just ringing randomly and somebody answered. And the person on the other end asked this stranger to hand the phone to this gentleman, which just sounds,
what the fuck?
That shit just don't even sound real.
It sounds like some made up mafia shit.
Yeah, exactly. So the dude hands him the phone, and so he answers, and he's like, "What's going on?" So they claim to be the abductors, and they gave him a little bit of information to take back to the family, and that they wanted him to play the middleman. And supposedly he had ended up giving the abductors $25,000 of his money. So he wanted that money back from the family. So the Sayegh family ended up ultimately giving him the money, which weirdly, he used that money to put down on the house. None of this shit was adding up. So then after that, the abductors ended up contacting this dude again and telling him where he could find one of Cary's shoes that he wore on the day he was abducted. Now, the whole time all this is going on, he's still the person of interest, but there isn't enough information or evidence for the police to actually arrest this dude.
And who's this person?
This dude's name was Gerald Burgess. So after he finds the shoe and etc. and talks to the family, I think it was about 3 years later, they ended up finally charging him with Cary's abduction.
It took them 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. But even so, after they charged him, the case was dropped. There wasn't enough evidence. There wasn't a body. There wasn't enough anything. And as we know, in 78, there isn't like cameras around or cell phones to ping off of cell phone towers. All that type of information that they use now just didn't exist. So they had to really have evidence of a crime being committed. So they ended up dropping the charges on this dude, and he pretty much got away with that. But some years later, I think in the early 2000s, he ended up getting charged with a different crime that had nothing to do with Cary's abduction. And sadly to say that Cary's body was never found till this day. And if I'm not mistaken, the last sighting of Gerald Burgess was back in 2018 here in Las Vegas. He still lived here with his wife. He's like 80-some, 90 years old now.
Was his wife around during all this? Did she have any involvement in this?
She was not. At the time, she was not. He had some other chick that he was with, I believe, and she was a teacher at Cary's school, ironically. And she also had a son who went to the same school. Unfortunately, that school doesn't even exist anymore. It was some Hebrew school on the east side.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
weird, right?
a little coincidental, if
Too
you
much.
ask me.
Too many.
So, did her son have the same recess as Corey?
There was no information on that.
No.
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did Burgess ever admit to being at the school?
Nope.
Was anyone able to like point him out as being at the school?
So some of the students that was in Cary's class and at recess with him identified him as the person that he was talking to,
And
which is why he was the person of interest during this, 3-year search. But again, there wasn't enough actual physical evidence.
And did Corey, like the kids that saw him get into whatever this person's car was, whether it was Burgess or not, did they say that he went in like willingly? Did he act like he knew this person?
Yeah, they did say that he just pretty much he just got in the car.
So this person looked like he may have been familiar.
Yeah, and it was alleged that Burgess had some dealings with Sol Sayegh, which is Cary's father, AKA the Carpet King. And it was saying something about that he worked for him for a period of time. And also, strangely, very, let me put it like this. This dude showed up to Sol's house out of the blue prior to the abduction, asking Sol if he wanted him to pretty much kill somebody for him.
Okay, so that was gonna lead to my some other questions that I had, because how did this Burgess character insert himself into this story as not only the one of the prime suspects, but also the middleman for the people that did take Cary?
Right.
Like,
and I personally believe that was all just BS because I feel it was just some type of get back because he, like I said, he showed up to their house offering to kill someone. You know, he wanted Sol to put the hit out and pay him about the same amount of money that he claimed he paid the abductors. And the hit was supposed to be out on Harry Reid, who's our airport is named after, who at the time was the head of the gaming commission.
Okay. All right. So and then that's crazy.
It is. It's a crazy ass story. Yeah. So like you said earlier.
So do you think would it be safe to assume that Cary's disappearance was in some way related to the fact that Sol wanted to get into gaming?
I would say yes.
Because I know back then there was a lot of still like mob activity and things like that. A lot of things were still revolving around like the mob, right?
And I'm not going to say that the mob had anything to do with it. I think that Burgess kind of preyed on the opportunity and he's seen this as an opportunity to get into whatever he wanted to do. Maybe he wanted to become a hitman or something. But when he shows up, I mean, if anybody shows up at your house randomly and just say, "Hey, I could take him out for you," that's weird. And
like a hitman for hire, yeah,
yeah.
No, but normal people don't just go.
Right.
Hey,
excuse me.
I heard you wanted somebody taken out.
Yeah, you got a problem with somebody? I got it.
I got you.
And when he showed up, from what I've read, Sol took offense to that, and he had his wife escort him out because he was like, "No, like, what do you mean?"
Well, I mean, he was a legitimate businessman for all we know at this point, right? So one of two things probably happened when this dude came. He probably saw it as, "Oh, this person's trying to set me up," or "This person's out of his fucking mind. I'm not that kind of person." One of the two things. One of those two.
And at the end of the day, Harry Reid, the head of the gaming commission, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
You know, you gonna take out the head of the gaming commission? It's not gonna be simple. It's not gonna be easy, and it's gonna be a lot of eyes looking at that. So
I take it Sol never did get any kind of gambling license, stuff like that, right, from the gaming commission.
After this whole unfortunate tragedy, everything kind of went downhill for the Sayegh family. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they both the mother and father split, went their separate ways. Sol's business started going down. He started gambling more and doing all kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to get into the gambling business and they wouldn't let you, that's probably the next best thing for you is you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to win all your money. And then you don't realize till it's too late that Vegas wasn't made on winners.
Yeah, a lot of people come here and make that mistake.
Vegas is made on you dreaming you're going to win.
It's a wish.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hope and a dream.
Yeah, that phrase, "the house always wins," it wasn't thought up out of nowhere.
Right.
So to this day, poor little Cary, still no one has heard of, no one has seen. So I think it's pretty safe to assume that he's dead because at this point in time, you would think he'd like, if he was alive, be like, "Hey, I'm right here, guys. I'm sorry."
What has it been? 40 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 40 years, unfortunately. So at this point, he should be about 46, 47 years old. But yeah, I think that I think Gerald just fucked up. He botched the kidnapping and somehow he killed that boy. Whether it was on purpose or accident, I feel like it could have been accidental, and he kind of just had to wing it. But regardless of what I think, he got away with it, unfortunately.
Believe it or not, this is the second time we've tried recording this episode.
Yeah.
And the first time we went through this episode, we had some technical difficulties while we were recording it again. But I believe you also mentioned something about Oscar Goodman when he was a lawyer being involved. And this was something else that kind of tied in with Sol and his business and wanting to get into the gaming. What was the deal with that and that involvement? Like, Because if I'm not mistaken, last time you were saying that's why Burgess went to his house, because it had something to do with Oscar Goodman and wanting to get someone else taken out as well.
So my other theory is that possibly because everybody knows Oscar Goodman. If you don't know him, he was a long time mayor here in town, and
he was also a lawyer for the mob, right?
Yeah, he was also known as the mob lawyer for a while. But he, or should I say Sol, had some type of like corruption case going on against him, and he hired Oscar Goodman to be his lawyer.
Okay,
so the other theory could be that Oscar told Gerald to go to the Sayegh house,
picking up some bad habits from his mob buddies and shit. Okay, that makes sense.
And
it's a good theory.
Offer to take care of somebody.
All right. All very good theories. Unfortunately, it's said that Cary has still been missing this entire time, and again, it's safe to assume he's dead. Yes,
and this I guess the saddest part of this whole situation is for the family, because they're Jewish, and if you know about the Jewish community, they really believe that they need the body so that they can lay the body to rest for them to, go off.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that it's most people want the person's body, whether they cremate or bury, because they want that closure as well, and to lay them to rest. So that's the sad story of Cary Sayegh.
Yes, rest in peace.
Tragic.
Yeah.
So while little Cary Sayegh is nowhere to be found, at least you guys were able to find us here at the Midnight Project, and I thank you guys for joining us again. If you have some theories of your own, if you're familiar with this story, if you've lived in Las Vegas and you've heard about this before and maybe have your own kind of theories on what could have happened, go ahead and drop a comment at the bottom and let us know, because we're curious to hear it.
I mean, even if you were a part of the investigation team back in those days, the news team, if you lived by Gerald and knew him, was his neighbor.
Fuck it. If you're Old Man Burgess yourself, man, fucking reach out and let us know what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
But as always, man, thank you guys for following and watching this episode, as well as all the other episodes. Yes. Subscribe, share, and show that you care.